letting everybody in right now, which
Yeah, it's
is
fine. Yeah, I'm gonna drink my
awesome.
coffee. I had someone at my door. Sorry, I was late.
Hey, no worries. As a matter of fact, I wasn't planning on being in my car, but I've been fighting with PG&E for 2 years, and they're putting in two power poles on my property today, and I'm paying them well.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so, so I spent a few extra minutes with them before I into the office. I'll be in the office in 2 or 3 minutes. But yeah, as we have people coming on, first of all, Tom asked me, "Hey Russell, you got it covered this morning. Must be nice to be retired from production." So after a gazillion years of doing production, you guys all know that Tom has built a really nice network here. So he sent me a picture of him at the golf course, making sure I had everything covered, which of course we do. So good for him. I know he spends a lot of time skiing and playing golf. So good for Tom Dave.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure he's going to call it networking today. That
Whatever.
being yeah, that being said, let me take a second to introduce our guest today, who I have known for 33, 34 years now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was pretty wet behind the ears just
You're a
in college.
baby.
I was a baby in college. I had just got done working at a title company in the plant, and had an opportunity to work for this amazing group where Alexis was absolutely the brains of the operation. No offense to the other folks that were there,
You
but
mean my
she had
ex?
she
This
she had
is no
already had,
surprise. Yeah.
yeah, it was funny because I was kind of in sales basically, and
Yeah.
every time I was calling somebody, they'd be like, "Oh, do you have Alexis's list?" And Alexis had compiled a pretty nice list of asset managers, both in the commercial and residential space, and they really wanted to connect with Alexis. And that back in the day, believe it or not, the company she owned was called Daily Default Info Service, and we would publish notice of defaults, notice of trustee sales, and REOs. And we had one of those dot matrix printers, and we would fold and stuff them in the mailroom and mail them out to everybody daily. That was the Daily Default Info
That
Service.
was the precursor to foreclosures.com. Yeah, it was print. Yeah. It was
Yeah, yeah,
crazy. I mean, the technology that, we have now, we're so spoiled.
was so spoiled. And
Yeah.
then we faxed some people, right? There was some
Yeah.
faxes going
Fax.
out,
And then
and
we had bulletin board. Yeah.
bulletin board,
Dot
and then
matrix printer with the 3-ply paper. And the person who got the bottom sheet would call me and say, what do I have to do to get the top sheet?
yeah, back in the day. And then
Yeah.
Alexis, if you read the bio again, I don't want to. I could spend the next 20 minutes talking about everything that she's done in real estate, but she just gets it. She understands how to control, essentially every real estate deal. Broke into commercial real estate in the 80s when women were absolutely not allowed to be in commercial real estate, and she flourished um, all the way till today. She's still my mentor. She's amazing. I'm learning from her each and every day, and it's just an absolute pleasure to introduce her today. And she's going to teach you how to control, real estate itself and your income, and Lord only knows what else. She's
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. So
I
with that,
mean,
Alexis, I'll be quiet. All
yeah,
you.
no, I was going to say, and the thing I want to just say, I don't need to talk about my bio, but there is one little piece that I think is really funny in all of this. So I met you back when it was a dot matrix kind of printing situation, and we were selling out these newsletters and you were in sales. And I met Tom in 92 when him and his partner, Christian Rooney, came into my office for my hands-on training to become foreclosure investors. And Christian Rooney went on to buy a huge portfolio and sell it and retire. And Tom went the brokerage route. So known everybody very long time. I'm probably going to know a lot of people on this call today as I look through and see a lot of familiar faces. And I reconnected with Russ, and I don't even remember, Russ, how we kind of got reconnected, but somehow we did. I don't know, maybe it was a party or something. And he was like, hey, why don't you come with me to this mastermind up at EXP? And I'm like, okay, sure. Do not try to push me to go to EXP. So let me just put that right out there. So I have my own brokerage, my own brand, and I'm leaving that to my kids. And this is what I do. So, but I don't mind giving and I don't mind sharing. And my message has been consistent for the last 40 years. And when I started at Grubb & Ellis in investment sales, my senior manager looked at me and he's like, buyers make you broke. Buyers make you broke. You need to focus on inventory. You control inventory. You control your future. Even during 4 downturns, 4 recessions where you couldn't give away property, I focused on inventory. And the reason is because many things, and some of you guys are investors and you probably know this. Sometimes sellers want to sell really low. And guess what? You're in the business of real estate. Are you here to make 6%? Or are you here to make financial decisions that affect your family? So you want to put yourself in a position, if you're talking to property owners all day long, and that's all you do. I mean, I'm sorry, I have buyers, but they're like second in my sphere of things to think about. If you focus on sellers all day long, there will always be a seller who needs cash more than their house. There'll always be opportunities for you to buy, whether you buy to flip or you buy to hold, whatever you do, there'll always be opportunities for you. There'll be opportunities for your investors. I've made a tremendous business working with just investors. I've got like 3,000 investors in my database who are always yanking on my chain to bring them deals. And so we're able, as we go to homeowners and we talk to them, we're able to offer them a variety of options. Now, I'm going to say stuff right now. I'm pretty candid because, I can be, right? Been around a while. I don't really care. Some people push Open Door as an option for their clients, which I think is a major fail. I don't know. Have any of you guys done this? Have any of you guys tried Open Door, got your clients an offer from Open Door, and then got the surprise after they did the video walkthrough and they knocked another 30K off or another 50K off? Has anyone done this? I don't know. You guys allowed to unmute?
I've done OfferPad and had that experience.
OfferPad?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I'm finding is it's kind of a bait and switch. Like they send out these things and your client says, oh, I just don't want to list it. I'm just going to take this offer right now. And, most agents just don't have the capacity to know what to do with that. They're like, okay, well, let me call Open Door and see if I can get a commission. No, you need to build a Rolodex of investors. So it's kind of like it's a two-pronged business plan. The plan number one is get control of inventory, and I'll talk about how I do that. And plan number two is get yourself well known in the investor community so that you can offer, when you go to a homeowner, you can offer, of course, I'm a realtor and I can help you get your house on the market. Of course, I have a concierge service to help you clean and paint and get everything in tip-top shape for you. Of course, I have those things. But I can also write you an offer personally to buy your property. Or if you'd like, I can take it out to my investors and see what kind of offers we get from them. And then you can make a decision on what you want to do. Do you want to take the offer? Do you want to go on the MLS as is? Or do you want to go concierge and get it fixed up? I offer those services on every call. And you would be surprised how many times they say, I don't want to put it on the MLS. I know I'm going to make more money. I don't want to fix it up. I don't want to deal with it. So, do you have an offer? Would you buy my house? Oh, okay, just give me an offer. Or you have investors? Okay, bring me an offer. Don't give it to Open Door. They're going to lowball them every time. Every time my investors' offers are better. And then we're transparent. They're true offers. Like, oh, they've walked the house and they've said this is what they'll pay for it. And this is what they'll give you. And this is like, oftentimes it's a non-contingent or a very short contingent offer. So if you have those guys in your pocket, when you're doing your listing pitches, your life is a hell of a lot easier. Okay. So I started a meetup. How many of you guys go to meetups? And I hope you guys are all going to meetups, like investment clubs, everybody. I started a meetup. Now, granted, I'm on a little pause right now because I'm going to law school. I just decided, what the hell? I'm 60 years old. I might as well go to law school. So, but I would highly recommend you start collecting names and phone numbers of investors at the meetups, and you will find a lot of the investors also have their real estate license. I mean, this is not an epiphany. My thing is you want to eventually graduate from being at just 100% brokerage into becoming an investor. Okay. I mean, I know EXP has stock and that's your future, but that's really not enough. In my book, you got to make serious wealth by owning property. That's it. How can you sell it if you can't believe in enough to own it? That's my pitch. Okay. So as far as controlling inventory, what does that look like? Well, some people, and I have agents right now that do this, some people will do a lot of social media, and I'm all for it. Go for it. Lots of TikTok, lots of Instagram, lots of Reels, lots of Facebook, and telling your clients, stories of deals that you're working on. Michelle has a hilarious take on it with all of her funny pictures that she does, and it's very engaging. And I just think all of that is awesome, but that's icing on the cake. The foundation of your business has to be prospecting sellers directly, whether you do it through direct mail, email, phone call, DM, Texting, I do not care how you door knock. I do not care how you do it. Pick your poison, okay? But you have to be in direct contact with property owners. Now, I'm going to just take a little roll call in here and ask how many people in here are doing any kind of database work, meaning title companies pulling lists, you're buying lists, you're using services, and you're not, I don't mean like targeting expireds and FSBOs. Everybody does that. I'm talking about true off market, like not a FSBO, not an expired, just farming your neighborhood. You guys all doing it? Yes, I'm assuming that's a yes. Okay. How many of you using Property Radar? Foreclosure Radar? Not that many hands. Okay. Let's start there. When I started foreclosures.com, it was because the internet started. Okay. My husband came in and said, I bought foreclosures.com URL, and I yelled at him and said, why didn't you buy the 800 number? Okay. So that's how smart I was at the time, because I didn't realize the internet was going to be a thing. But because we were print, fax, bulletin board. Okay. And when I started that, it was with the same data that I'm using right now with Property Radar. It was the notice of defaults, notice of trustee sales, trustees' deeds when they get recorded back to the bank. And I was using that data all the way back to when I started at Greb & Ellis. When the very first day, I just started calling on the NODs and having to go to the library to find phone numbers. Okay, just everything was just harder, but it was the same idea. I was calling distressed property owners, seeing if they were interested in selling. Fast forward through today, you have Property Radar. Property Radar is not owned by me. It's owned by another guy who's a really smart guy, and I think he did an awesome job with it. Property Radar then became Foreclosure Radar. And the difference is Property Radar has national database of property. So you have, I could be like my mom says, what's my neighbor's house? And I could look it up. Okay, I could tell her who owns it, what the mortgages are, and blah, blah, blah. So you have that now on Realist, right? So you could like go to Realist on MLS, but you have to select what counties you have access to through Realist. Property Radar is nationwide. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, Property Radar tracks all of the NODs and notice of sales and trustees' deeds. Now, Foreclosure Radar allows you to subscribe at a higher premium because that's where they do the foreclosure tracking, meaning every time there's an auction postponement, they'll give you the new date. That's worth its weight in gold because you don't want to have to be calling on those to figure out if the house has been lost to foreclosure or not. You want to know current status of these properties. So I would tell you, subscribe to Foreclosure Radar Pro. I think it's like $99 a month for one county. Buy 3 if you need to. They have packages, whatever. Just get it. Okay. That's my lifeline. That's like I have a car. I can't have a car without gas. Property Radar is my gas. Okay. So in Property Radar, you're able to search by neighborhood, zip codes, whatever you want. And my searches are my zip codes. I also search by equity, which is a huge feature because now I'm only going to work properties that aren't a short sale, because I don't know if you've ever done a short sale, but they're just not worth it. So I work on properties with equity. I work on properties that are in default or notice of sale in my area. And then on top of it, they allow you to click through and you get like 250, I think, phone numbers and emails every month. And then after that, they charge you if you want more. But they allow you to click through and get phone numbers and emails on the person. I mean, how much easier can it get? So you have your list. They're in default. They're in your neighborhood. You've got their phone number. You got their email. You know what their loans are. It also gives you an automated valuation tool. And it's not like Zillow. They actually show you the comps on their map and they allow you to pick which comps you think are relevant and not relevant to come up with a value. So you could literally do your comping right on the portal without having to leave to go to the MLS. Do your comping right on the portal, get your loan of value, look at it and go, okay, I see an affidavit of death recorded here. Oh, gee, this is a person in default and somebody died. So now this just got elevated on my list. Okay, and we're going to see more of these. The boomers are passing. We're going to see more of these. We're going to see more estates that are turning over with tremendous equity. Okay, so look for that. Now, the reason they ended up on the foreclosure list, anybody want to guess? A person died and they have a lot of equity. Why are they on foreclosure? Any guesses?
Property tax.
Mortgage.
What was that?
Property tax.
Reverse mortgage.
Oh.
Reverse mortgage. Think about it. Your mom and dad are getting old. They need money for assisted living. They put a reverse mortgage on the house. They don't have to make payments. They still have a ton of equity on the house. Mom and dad die. Reverse mortgage is called. It's in default. Boom. Equity, default, death. How many more motivations do you need? Get in front of those people. Okay, this is not rocket science. This will sustain your business for the rest of your life. You literally have to do nothing else. Social media, cool. Buyers, cool. You just focus on this. All you have to do is, if you're not getting enough leads, expand your territory. You know, I'm working 3 zips, so I got plenty of business. Now, in my world, what I do is I take my property radar database, I download the leads that fit my filter in an XLS file, I upload it into my CRM, and I set up a sales track. Email, text, phone call, email, text, phone call, email, text, phone call. You guys have a CRM, I hope. Right? You could set up a sales track. Hey, I'm sorry you're having a tough time with your house. How can I help? Hey, I drove by the other day. I tried your house. Nobody was home. Blah, blah, blah. You just get in front of them. I use a series of phone calls, emails, and texts. I'm a little bit lazy. I don't like to door knock. But if you're young and you've got time and you're new, I would absolutely door knock these. And if you're a woman, I would absolutely door knock these. I can count on one hand how many times I've been yelled at when I door knock. Nobody would dare yell at this. They're like, oh, it's a nice lady at the house. Totally different, right? Experience. I've always found that. Started out in commercial real estate. I was the only lady doing it. And they were like, where's your boss? And I was like, no, it's just me. You're different. You might as well use that. Use it. I have used my feminism in positive ways that have got me in the doors to places that nobody else can get in. Okay. So my point is, you got to be doing that. Okay. Now so you're going to work the notice of defaults. You're going to work the notice of sales. Now, what's the difference between the two? Notice of defaults have more time. Notice of defaults are at the early stages. They've already missed their payment. They've already gotten 60 days of phone calls from their lender. The lenders tried really hard to reach out to them and do a modification. And then the lender filed a notice of default. And they have 4 months to do something. I can guarantee you they're going to ignore. Wait a minute, maybe I should do something. Always. It's always been the same. So I've had people ask me, Alexis, do you time it? Do you try to just catch them at the end? Well, I mean, you could try that. There's probably somebody better than you who's already called them early on and has built a relationship contacting them repeatedly over the period of time. So when it's time for them to make a decision, they go to the guy they've been talking to, not the first call they just got from you. So you kind of have to start this at the beginning. People rarely decide to sell their house the minute the NOD is filed. Almost all cases, it's, I'm going to work it out. Mom's going to help me. I'm going to get another job. I'm going to get a roommate. I'm gonna. Okay. So in all cases, they're going to try something. And then you just have to follow up. So I do these sales tracks to check in with them. Every month I'm calling them, emailing them, texting them to stay on top of them. And so the key is the consistency of being in front of these people will eventually, when they make the decision that they have to do something, then they'll listen to you when you say, I have 4 options. I can write an offer right now and buy your house, get it over with. I can send it to my investors and see what they think and bring you some offers. There'll be a brokerage commission on that. I can list it as is on the MLS, or I can do a concierge and get it all fixed up and put it on the MLS. What do you want to do? Pick your poison. Okay. It's not really a sale. It's more of a laydown at this point because they've already decided they're going to lose their house. They have to sell. Okay. So the thing about this is these are the ones that make your life like you're really truly helping somebody and you're giving them money. Because if they do nothing, what is the alternative? It goes to auction. Trusty salesperson buys it at the sale. Very little overbid because there's usually collusion. Owner gets nothing. So you have to be really forthright with them about this. Like, it's in your best interest to do something. Has anybody in here tried to talk to the notice of defaults and notice of sale leads? Have you? Russell, why don't you tell them some of the objections you've heard?
The main one that I get is it's already taken care of.
Right.
And I always say, hey, listen, I really appreciate that. I'm in foreclosure real estate. My only goal is to keep you from losing your house to the bank.
Mm-hmm.
If it was already taken care of, I would see a release. And I'm
Yeah.
looking right now and
Perfect.
I see no release.
Perfect.
If they don't have a release, then they file a notice of trustee sale. They're going to sell your house at the courthouse steps in 3 weeks. Are you
Right.
sure that you have it taken care of? And then
Right.
Alexis, last year before Easter on Friday, right? Monday's a holiday. I knock on this guy's door. He's losing his house on Tuesday. So Monday's a holiday. So this is it. It's Friday,
Mm-hmm.
essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I said, hey, listen, my name's Russell. I don't want you to lose your house to the bank. I've been helping people in foreclosure real estate for 30 years. He's like, it's all taken care of. Great.
Oh my God.
I gave him the explanation I just told you, like, hey, there's no
Right.
release.
Right.
As soon as I was done, he goes, yeah, you're right. I'm losing it on Tuesday. I'm just like, why did you tell me 8 seconds ago that you had it
Right.
all taken care of? And then I said, well, listen, they should have sent you loan modification paperwork. He's like, yeah, they did, but my printer's broke.
He just didn't. He just dropped the ball.
Drop
Yeah.
the ball, right? We
Yeah.
saved his house for him. He lives in it now. He's over
How
here.
did you, what was the mechanism? So you called the lender and said, give me a month? What was the?
Yeah, so we called the lender that morning
Yeah.
and I said, hey, COVID caused problems for him, which was still working a year ago.
Right.
Right. And we need you to postpone this sale.
Right.
We're going to fill out this loan modification paperwork. Well, they said, well, heck, he's had it for a long time. I'm going to say, yeah, his printer was broke. We're going to the office right now. We're going to send it to you today. So we
Mm-hmm.
helped him process the paperwork for his loan mod. He's happy as
Yeah.
can be. He's been there over a year. We didn't make any money on that one, Alexis, but I have so many. Like we just saved another guy's house, same
Right.
reverse mortgage,
Right.
problem with the probate.
Right.
And they didn't get the probate filed in time, so we saved his house the day of the sale. We helped him reinstate.
And that's when the people get like agents are like, what do I do? The auction's in a week. Are we out of time? I'm like, you're never out of time. You
No,
just
never
have
have
to
time.
ask. Okay.
Yeah, we made
So
40 grand in 5 weeks, Alexis. By the way, there's
yeah.
2 questions when you're ready.
Yeah. Say
You
that
ready?
again.
There's 2 questions in the chat box when you're
Oh,
ready.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. I'll look at that. I haven't looked at it yet.
Yeah, I'll read them to you when you're ready. Just let me know.
Okay. So I want to go back now and say, what was the mechanism you used to get the lender to give you time? Okay. So when you finally engage the seller, if you're up against the wall and you realize there's no way I can perform because auction's in 3 days or whatever, I need to get time. You have to ask permission because it's the lender's decision whether they postpone or they don't postpone. Okay. So you have to ask permission. And so the way I ask for permission, similar to what you did, you can't always say what's COVID. You can't use that excuse. So what I'll say is look, the seller dropped the ball. He screwed up. He didn't have somebody like me helping him. I'm here now. I'm a professional. This is my experience. I will get it done. And I asked nicely, would you give me a month? And if they say no problem. Next call on my Rolodex is the bankruptcy attorney I work with. He's going to immediately file. And then it's quiet. Okay, we'll give you a month. They don't want you to file bankruptcy. They don't want to get, because that's going to increase their legal fees and their time. So they have to trust you are able to perform. They're going to look to you because you're going to tell them, my client's a mess up. Okay, don't look at him. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's listening to me now. And I'm going to perform. Okay. And so then I do have a bankruptcy attorney I use, and we will file if we need the time to get it done. Okay, so that's not a scary thing. It's just a tool. I just don't want to have my client write a check for $2,500 to do that, right? So that's just a tool. Okay, so go ahead, Russell. What are the questions?
The first question is, how is Property Radar any better than me using my title company?
Your title company doesn't do what Property Radar does. They don't call the trustees every morning and get postponements.
100%.
You're going to get a list of notice of sales and you're going to say, give me all notice of sales. And they're going to get cool. And they're going to give you a list of all notice of sales. And then you personally have to get your butt on the phone every day and call and find out what the status is of those sales.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's like a carrier pigeon versus a Ferrari. I mean, it's a
I mean, I just can't even imagine having it without having it.
100%. Second
I could
question.
sort every morning. I could sort and see what's coming up next week. And I know who's my, I better get on this one.
Yeah, it's all Property Radar is awesome. I'm on it every single day. Not only that, I mean, even if you don't want to do foreclosure real estate, Alexis, you and I both know there's so much amazing data in there.
Right. Like the affidavit of death.
Affidavit of death.
I could search affidavit of death on Property Radar. I could pull up everybody who's had somebody die in the last year. How valuable is that?
Yeah, we even did one where like we've had one affidavit of death in the last 10 years and another one in the last 6 months. right? Because usually that
Mhm.
means
Mhm.
husband died first or then wife, and now
Yep,
they have
second
to
to
do
die.
something. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So it's pretty amazing. You can do all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff.
Don't be
Second,
cheap on this stuff. People, I get so annoyed when people get cheap with their data. Don't be cheap here. This is
no,
not where you get cheap.
I even had somebody that called me that wanted to sell and they didn't understand they didn't have enough equity to even sell. I'm like, you're going to bring 25,000 to closing?
Oh, what
Like,
explaining that they've already, my
yeah,
line is you've already sold your house, honey. When you took out all those loans and put money in your pocket, that was your payday.
that was your payday, 100%.
Yeah, you're
Second
done now.
question is, do you think mailing letters is effective to
Yeah,
these folks?
I'm not a mailer, but you know who is? What's her name? Oh, you're a mailer?
I mail, and I'll tell
I didn't
you,
know.
it's twice as effective if you mail then call.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
so
like trying to remember. My God, how did I forget her name? I just spoke to her like 2 days
I will
ago.
be more than
Alma,
Alma. Oh,
Alma.
Alma. She's a farm mailer, amazing farm mailer.
Well, I've met with her and I've coached her. So she's doing the property radar and Tommy's following up on all of it. They're mailing to the NODs and the NOTSs.
You are so amazing. Are they doing a one-step
She's already
program?
closed stuff. Yeah. What's that?
Yeah, she's amazing. She's amazing. She bought
Yeah.
the machine to fold and everything.
I saw it. I know. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you do that, girl. I'm a CRM person. I'm a, sales track, write all my messages out over a period of time and hit them repeatedly via email and text versus mail. That's just my preference.
Well, and Alma, like I've talked to her before, and she has an accent. For those of you that don't know Alma, she is a multiple time Icon Award winner. She closes a ton of deals.
Oh, she like every
Using
day she has another listing. I'm like,
Yeah,
where the hell, girl? She goes, it's all mailers.
all mailers. She
Yeah,
and so what she said to me like a long time ago when I first introduced her to our platform, she was doing mail and email and she was killing it with our platform. And then
right,
she started
right,
farming and she's killing it because again, she says when I call, they don't even want to talk to me. My accent's so thick.
right,
However, once
right,
I've mailed them a couple of things and they know that I know what I'm talking about, they're more willing to talk to me. So,
right.
imagine if your accent was so bad it was hard to understand you, and she's killing it. So no excuses.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny, actually. I think you remember I said take advantage of your differences. She starts by saying, English is my second language. I wouldn't want to talk to me if it was me. I can't understand. I don't know how people understand me. She makes jokes about it.
Yeah,
And
very
that's
cool.
very engaging. It makes you
100%.
very authentic. It's very engaging.
Those are the two questions so far. Any other questions? And
Okay,
we'll just let
no problem.
Alexis keep
Yeah,
going.
no, we can just
All right.
keep chatting.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my big soapbox is to get on Property Radar and start working the NODs, notice of sales. Now you're going to have questions like, what do you say to these people? Comes up all the time. Like, you don't say, hey, I see you had a notice of default filed. What are you going to, like, you don't show a little courtesy. You know what I mean? So my opener has always worked for me is, hey, I understand you're in a tough situation with your house and I wondered how I could help, period. Because that is the truth. They are in a tough situation with their house and you do want to help them. And Russell mentioned that sometimes you help them and you don't get paid. Sometimes it's just sitting down with them and talking to them about the process and saying, you know what, let's fill out those loan modification papers, send them into your bank. Let's see. Because the way I look at it is the owner has options and they have a various amount of doors that they need to go through. Okay, door number one is talk to your lender. Figure out if you can keep your house with your current lender. That's the path of least resistance. Let's go down that door. When that door gets shut, it usually gets shut because they're not working and they have no income and the lender goes, why am I giving you time? You have no ability to pay. You're not going to send them to your lender to get approved for a refi if they have no income, right? So it makes sense to find out if they're working or not, because that's going to help you understand how fast this thing's going to go down. If they're working and they're underemployed or they have less income or they had a medical emergency or they had some kind of situation where their income isn't able to keep up with the payments, they're probably a high likelihood going to get some kind of modification and some kind of pass from their lender, and they're probably not going to sell. Not saying they won't. I'm just giving you kind of like gauges to figure out who your hot leads are and who your cold leads are. Okay. So I got to find out right away. Are you working? Are you working? What do you do for work? How are you paying the bills? Okay. So you got to find that out. That's going to help you decide which way you're going to go. So now you start with the loan mod. They get it and they're fine. You say, good luck to you. If you ever need anything, let me know. The lender will record a release or a canceled notice of default, which is what Russell was talking about. And that's going to tell the world that the loan is no longer in foreclosure. And now it's at current status and they'll probably have a loan modification agreement recorded also. And now you'll see those and you'll go, oh, I get it. So that guy saved his house. Okay. So that's fine. Okay. Certain amount of them are going to save their houses. That's just the way it's going to be. Then there are those that aren't, and they're going to be scrapping. They're going to be calling everybody in town. And the thing I try to avoid is make sure they understand, please, there probably will be a lender who will give you money. It'll be Guido with a bat. Okay. And he's going to charge you 20% interest and 10 points because he doesn't care, because he wants your house. And he's going to put a note on your house knowing that you're going to default, and then he's going to take your house. So you have to have that conversation and warn people, because they're going to be scrapping and doing stupid things. You don't want them to do that, right? What is another option other than stick with their bank, refinance, family, friends, right? All that. Get on early having that conversation. Call your mom, ask if she'll give you the money. What about a retirement account? Can you do anything there? What's in your garage? Do you have any motorcycles you can sell? Start talking to them as if it was a sibling about how you can get them to bring, get cash raised. Help them figure out how to raise cash, okay? Once that's exhausted, they can't get through their bank, they can't do a refi, they don't have any assets or any friends or family. What's left? They have to sell, but they may not want to hear it. They may, give me more time. I'm going to work on my mom some more. Give me more time. Remember I said 4 months, it goes like this really fast until it's like that. Okay. So it's like, you got to keep them going. I like to give people what I call a red button day on the calendar. So if the auction is in 3 weeks, like 1 week before the auction is a red button day. There's no more, give me time. There's no more. We're moving forward at this point. You got to give them a deadline. You got to set a boundary to give them a deadline. Okay. And that way they know, you're right, Alexis, I don't have any more time. Even then, you're probably going to have to ask for an extension, because 1 week's not a lot, because you got to get payoff demands. You got to get title insurance, get everybody signed. Sometimes people are out of state. You got to deal with mobile notaries. I mean, you know how it goes. 1 week sometimes doesn't cut it. So you may have to ask postponement, but that's okay. You'll probably get it. Very rarely have I ever not gotten one, especially when I get involved and I say, like, look, here's who I am. This is what I do. This is how much time I need. 2 weeks. I'll get it done. Okay. So that's it. The only objection left that's going to come up, very rarely, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say the only objection. Sometimes you get people who are apathetic and they don't care and they're just going to let it go to auction. And they're like, if you want it, go buy it at the sale. I don't care. That's really rare though. But you run into that when you have like adversarial divorce situations where the husband's like, F you to the wife, let it go to auction. Okay, that does happen. The last objection you're going to run into is bankruptcy. And I bring this up cautiously because bankruptcy is a tool. It should be used to buy time. Bankruptcy is not always the right tool for the client. And when it's not the right tool is when they have no job, they have no ability to pay a mortgage, they don't want to sell, and they file a Chapter 11 trying to force bankruptcy and force the lender into a payment plan so they can keep the house. Now, bankruptcy works slowly. The process works slowly. Eventually, you got to believe the lender on the other side is going to be screaming, why are we talking about a payment plan with this guy who has no job? Like, this is ridiculous. Eventually, the trustee will say, no, you're not going to get to keep your house. We're not going to do a payment plan. And we're going to let the lender remove the house from bankruptcy and go to sale. That period from the time he files to the period till he says no can happen in 30 to 60 days. Okay. So sometimes owners will throw that carrot in there and they'll file that bankruptcy thinking they're going to get to keep the house. And I have to explain to them, all you've done is put a Band-Aid on a dam that's about to break, and it's still going to break. All you've done is buy a month or two. I'm glad you paid your attorney $3,000, but all you got was a couple months out of it. Okay. So it's not going to be lasting. Okay. Where bankruptcy makes sense for a long-term plan is if you've got a person who's employed and has income and the lender refused a loan mod. Then you know what? You need to file bankruptcy and force it through the trustee to get a payment plan in place, because they're just not being reasonable. And you could win in that one. The client will win to be able to keep the house. Okay. So again, it's knowing these nuances and then counseling them on what to do is what's important. Another thing, you can never charge for your time. You can never charge for saving their house. Okay, there's actually civil codes relating to that. Mortgage consulting is strictly prohibited. You have to have a bond. It's not worth it. Don't do it. Okay, it's just free service or it's a deal. That's how you have to look at it. Free service or a deal. Like Russ said, sometimes you help them and they don't get money out of it. You got that good karma going, and maybe down the road when it's time, they'll think of you. But then it's worth it for all the others that you do close a deal.
Alexis, I will tell you, I have sold so many houses of people where I've saved their house, and they are my best referrals because you helped them for free. And they didn't
Right.
trust anybody. They
Right.
took a big chance trusting you. You actually saved their house. They're living in it, and you didn't charge them anything.
Right.
I have this lady, Linda. I saved her house. She sent me 2 different listings, which is amazing. I have a lady named Ruth. I saved her house like 3 years ago when her husband passed away.
Yeah.
She sold that house and then another house through me. So they are the most loyal people. So even though you're working for free,
Never feel bad about it.
it's
Yeah.
great karma. I love
Yeah.
helping people save their
Yeah.
houses. And not all the time, but a lot of times they refer you people and that's what I tell them. I say, hey, listen, I just helped you save your house. Exactly what I told you. I didn't charge you a penny. The only way I make money is if I sell homes. So if you ever decide to sell, or if you know somebody that's looking to sell, I would really appreciate it if you would refer them to me. That's what I yeah.
Pretty clean deal.
Yeah.
Now, so I mentioned property radar is my main thing. Like I'm telling you guys, I'm going back to 4 down cycles. Okay. I've seen 4 down cycles. The first one I saw was in 1986 when they passed the Tax Reform Act. And that one was where Reagan said, no more taking your losses on, no more taking depreciation on your buildings cannot be used against your active ordinary income. So doctors and lawyers who owned apartment buildings that were losing money, they didn't care about it because they had accelerated depreciation. They were using that loss against their $300,000 salary and paying no tax. Okay, so that little gimmick went away. And when that went away, all the syndicators started handing back the keys. Okay, and so it started in commercial because that's who was affected by this. It started in multifamily and commercial, but that caused a banking crisis and a liquidity crisis. And that caused the Resolution Trust Corp to be created to take care of all of these banks that were going under. Okay. And the government kind of came to the rescue. Now, when Russell was talking about everybody want to know my contacts. So because I was in real estate at that time, I decided I wasn't going to go get a job somewhere. I was like, I guess I'm going to figure this out. I don't know what this is going to look like, but I guess I have to start talking to banks. So I started calling banks. This is back before they even had REO departments. They didn't even know what an REO was. They would tell me to go talk to the loan officer. And it's his problem. He put the loan on it. He's going to have to be the one that figures this one out. So I had to prospect loan officers for listings. And so I started gathering a database of asset managers' names and phone numbers and figuring out who was the contacts, because all I did all day long was call banks. And I got all of their contact information. I stayed in touch with them and I started going on listing presentations and I did the same thing. Remember I said control inventory. Once I realized that the property owners were no longer in control, that it was going to be a bank-owned market, I had to control the inventory through banks. So I started calling on them and getting listings from them. And then I had to expand because guess what? When you go to San Juan Bank in LA and you're talking about an office building in Sacramento and they say, well, I also have this apartment building in Bakersfield, what do you think I'm going to do? Think I'm going to say, oh, well, I only work Sacramento? I'm like, no, I could take that one. And then I called guys in Bakersfield and we'd co-op. So that's how I created the national program for REO property for Grubb & Ellis back in the 90s. That's how I started it. And then I moved from co-oping to referral just because it got too big. I couldn't co-op a million different listings, but I created a database of all those contacts. That was like my pot of gold. Those relationships created a tremendous amount of business for me back in the time where all these agents were leaving the business. I'm like, you got to evolve with the business as it changes. So what happened from that? Have you guys ever been to Rio Mac? Anybody here been to Rio? I know Russ has been to Rio Mac. You probably don't even know what this is. Real Estate Owner Managers Association of California was formed back then in the 80s when I started. And it's an organization of asset managers, banks, lenders, title companies, everybody in the field of foreclosure. That it's a trade group. And then they have meetings. If you see anything REO Mac related, go. Now, I'm not saying we're going to see a tidal wave of foreclosures. I really don't think we will because we have too much equity in the market. But we are seeing more. There is distress in the market. You guys are seeing these distressed lenders. You're seeing this. I hope you guys are paying attention. Commercial buildings right now that, they're not like residential. They're going through a recession right now because they have 5-year, 7-year loans that come due. And then when they have a new appraisal come out and they have the loans get reset based on the new value and cap rates are higher. So now that means the values are lower because interest rates are higher. They can't repay their mortgages. Then those become default. You see, I mean, what is this guy, Giant Texas? They own a bazillion properties and they're in foreclosure. So you're seeing it. And then the lenders who take back that property, they're going to be hurting. And so we're going to see distress in the market. It's just not going to come the same way as it has the last 4 times. First time was Tax Reform Act. Second time was the oil crisis. Third time was, I'm trying to think, I think it was just a mild recession. Fourth time, as we know, the mortgage bust in 2005. Okay, all of them were different events that caused stress in the market. The current event that's causing stress in the market is the banks themselves that are in distress.
Alexis, we have like 2 minutes left. What I would tell people too is you are such a pro. Anybody that decides to do this space, by the way, you should have a hedge in your real estate business. And this is one of those spaces, right? A high tide raises all ships, and everybody was kicking ass in real estate, in 2022. Now it's a little harder, right? And this is one of those, yeah, this is one of those recession-proof things where when the market starts to slow down, I'm part of NRBA and NADP. I'm going to the NRBA conference next week. Are you going to be there next week?
Yeah.
All right. I'll see you in Vegas.
Yeah.
The 60-day lates are at an all-time high, right? From
there's distress in the market.
Oh, it's crazy. What I will tell you guys, if you get a property and you've knocked on a door and somebody needs help and they're in those last 2 or 3 days, please call me or Alexis. It's a way more.
Or even if you just don't know what to do.
Call me or Alexis. It's way more complicated.
You just don't know what to do.
Yeah, Alexis, you made it sound so easy. Oh, they'll fix it. You and I know every trick known to man. If you have a real estate license and you've offered to help somebody and they're 2 or 3 days from losing their house, A, first of all, don't promise them anything. And then B, please take myself or Alexis as a partner. I will charge you $0 and we will do everything that we can to help them save the house. So I'll put my number in there, and then if Alexis,
just feel free to put my contact out there. And I can go on forever, but I brought up the distress just because I want everybody to understand that nobody can predict upturns or downturns. All we can do is be prepared. And if you control distressed inventory, you will always win.
100%. Perfect. I'll share your information on our Atomic Habits webpage if you're cool with that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And then thank you everybody for coming to Atomic Habits on Wednesday. And Alexis could talk for 4 more hours and it would be cool.
I know.
By the way, everybody's asking for a copy of the recording. It's going to be on our Facebook page. And then, of course, we'll send it to you directly if you need it. Alexis, I appreciate you, and I thank you so much. What an awesome session. Anybody have 1 or 2 last questions before we go?
I see 18 or 19 questions down
Oh my
there.
God, I tried to get you the questions.
You want to scan through and see if there's anything that's important?
I've been watching it. I don't think they were asking for your contact info, and I don't think there was.
Thank you, Alexis.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
You're welcome, Matt.
Yeah, Property Radar, everybody. That is the answer. They have such good data. Property Radar. I use it every single day, and it is amazing. So, all right, we'll appreciate everybody. Thank you, guys.
Okay, talk to you later.
Have a great day. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.